Russian President Vladimir Putin's spokesperson has declared that NATO is at war with Russia over the conflict in Ukraine. Dmitry Peskov said this during a press briefing, insisting that the alliance's involvement is obvious and requires no additional proof.
NATO is fighting with Russia. This is obvious and needs no additional proof. NATO is de facto involved in this war. NATO is providing direct and indirect support to the Kiev regime. This is why it can be said with absolute certainty that NATO is fighting against Russia.
NATO is at war with Russia. This is obvious, and it does not require any additional evidence, Peskov told reporters, as reported by the state-run news agency RIA Novosti. He added that NATO is effectively engaged in the war, directly implicating the alliance in the ongoing conflict. Polish Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski, however, has pushed back on this claim. He emphasized that despite recent Russian drone incursions into Polish airspace, which forced Poland to shoot down some of the drones, NATO is not officially at war with Russia. Ukraine has indeed received substantial support from NATO allies, including military aid and logistical assistance from the United States. Yet, NATO forces are not directly engaged on Ukrainian soil, and Ukraine remains outside the alliance. Following the recent drone incidents, Poland invoked NATO's Article 4, a mechanism for consultations among allies when a member perceives a threat to its territorial integrity. Article 4 allows discussions on collective measures, but it does not automatically trigger military action.
The fact that these drones, which posed a security threat, were shot down changes the political situation. Therefore, Allied consultations took the form of a formal request to activate Article 4 of the NATO treaty.
By contrast, Article 5 of NATO, the Collective Defence Clause, would obligate member states to respond militarily if one ally is attacked. Poland chose not to invoke Article 5 over the drone incursion, signalling a measured response despite the heightened tension. Peskov's comments came on the heels of the first direct military engagement between NATO forces and Russian assets during the Ukraine conflict. Poland intercepted and shot down Russian drones, a move that Moscow has criticized. Romania also responded to Russian drone breaches in its airspace. The country scrambled 2 F-16 fighter jets and summoned the Russian ambassador to Bucharest to formally protest what it described as a violation of Romanian sovereignty, according to Foreign Minister Oana Toiu. The heightened tensions are compounded by military maneuvers in the region. Lithuania and Poland have deployed additional troops along their borders in response to the joint Russian-Belarusian military drills known as Zapad 2025, which began last Friday. The UK has similarly taken a firm diplomatic stance. The Foreign Office summoned the Russian ambassador to London following Moscow's incursions into Polish and Romanian airspace, describing the actions as unprecedented and utterly unacceptable. In an official statement, the UK government reaffirmed its commitment to NATO allies, stating, "The UK stands united with Poland, Romania, Ukraine, and our NATO allies in unreservedly condemning these reckless actions." As NATO navigates this complex crisis, the balance between deterrence and escalation remains delicate. While Russia frames the situation as an ongoing war with the alliance, NATO continues to assert its support for Ukraine without deploying forces directly into the conflict.